page process video. Just going over with what I'm using, some Tim Holtz phrase stickers. The kit, the pocket page kit from Juli Makes Things, the summer one. I pulled some Studio Calico chipboard stickers, and then I have some stamps from Paper Person and Studio Calico that I thought I might use, so I pulled them. And then I have my go-to inks, my Versamark, and my color box, Stephanie Bernard. Color is Storm. And then I have my pictures. So I went ahead and I pulled everything. I don't know what I'm going to use for sure, but I pulled things that I might want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my pictures where I want them. I printed one 4x6 and then two 3x4s. Now I print my pictures on my Canon Selfie, so I size them down before I print, and to make the most of my printer paper, I put two 3x4s on one sheet. So now I'm going to go ahead and pick a 4x6 because I need one for the top. I'm leaning towards one that could work as more of a title on the top, so I'm going to go with Best Summer Ever. Just don't know what color which side I'm gonna use yet, but I'm definitely going with Best Summer Ever. And then I'm gonna go through the 3x4 cards and fill those in as needed as well. Now Juli gives you a ton of options because these are double-sided, so that's always great. So I'm just looking on the front and the back to see what colors I can pull, what's gonna look good, just what am I going to use? So now these videos, you are actually seeing me putting these pages together in the moment. So it's not like I made it and then I'm just gluing it down. I'm literally picking and choosing things in the moment. So this is my whole process. So I just put things down and then move them around as I go just to see what works or doesn't work. So right now I'm kind of just deciding. I like the brown because I think it's like sand, but then I'm like, is it too much of an anchor right there? Is it drawing your eye, too far down? Should I go with something that blends in a little bit more? And then I'm just deciding between the color of that other card. And then last minute choice, I decided to put the coffee cup in the middle. And then I just like that card I keep putting down. I just like it a lot, so I want to use it, obviously. So now from here, I'm just going to look at, yep. I go ahead and make the switch because I just like it too much. Just too much. So I'm just going to make it work. And I think it blends good on that bottom row. A little bit of blue and brown, so a little bit of sand and water. So now what I'm doing is I'm just picking the ephemera that I'm going to use. I wanted to put like X marks the spot right there in the sand because that top picture is literally of my feet, mine and Sage's foot in the sand. So I thought that little X marks the spot would be cute. Now I'm deciding, that's what one of the main things I love about Juli's kits is that she has all these little labels. And I tend to use labels a lot, whether I stamp on it or put a sticker on it or just use it to pop something. I'm always using some sort of label, so I'm so glad she includes those in her kits. So I place them where I think I'm going to use them, and then look at everything else, and then I'm just deciding what's next. I kind of want to use one of those other little ephemeras. I just don't know where yet. And I like the blue on this little label as well. So I put that one aside, that little swirl, because I might use it later. Now I'm going to go through and see what stamps will fit where. I love the clear stamps because you can kind of size it before you stamp it and see if it's going to fit where you want it. So I'm deciding between that one and Wild and Free. So These Are the Days or Wild and Free. And I kind of like how These Are the Days fits perfectly within that circle. The Wild and Free extended out a little bit, and I kind of didn't want to do that because I thought it would blend too much with the outline of the circle. So I'm going to get my stamp block, place it on there, and then ink it up. I'm using that Stephanie Bernard Color Box ink in Storm. And if you've watched my previous videos, you know it's like my favorite color ink. It's not black, it's more like a dark gray. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. Start inking it up. And before that, you just saw me kind of, I am like a clean worker, so I have to have everything kind of in its place. So I kind of always tidy up before I move on. I always give that stamp a tester stamp before I stamp on the card, and then I'm good to go. Stamped it right in the middle in that dark gray ink, and it's perfect. I always clean my stamp after. I give it a real quick little wash. Close up my chamois. Give it another little tap. And then that part is good to go. I always clean my stamps after I use them, and I always put them back where they go, just so if I need it again quickly, I know exactly where it's at. I'm not searching for it or anything. And close up my ink and push that to the side because I know I'm going to use it in a little bit again. So that card, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on because I'm going to stamp some more. So you can't really see, but there's Wild and Free, and then on the bottom there's a stamp that says Let's Go Outside. And then there's this perfect little daisy. And you can't see on my sweater, but I'm wearing a green sweater with big daisies like that on the sweater. So I'm like, oh, it might be cute to put daisies on there. But it looks like I'm going to try the Versamark ink, because you guys know I love to do that. I love to stamp the Versamark ink to give it just a little pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try that out on this card, because the Versamark ink is a water, like a water ink. It gives it like a water mark, and it just gives it one shade darker than what you're stamping on. But it didn't really do anything on this, and I don't know if it's because this had kind of a sheen on it or a coat on it, but it didn't give enough where you could see it. So I was like, I want you to be able to see it a little bit more. So I go and I reach for my good old Storm color, and I figure, you know what, let me try this one. So I clean it off because I don't want to get the watermark, the Versamark ink in my gray ink. And I try the gray ink on there. And it's the exact flower. It's like really funny because the exact flower that I'm stamping is literally on my sweater. You just can't see it. So I'm stamping, and I realized, because I turned away at one point, that my pattern is just way to the left. And I knew I messed up when I did it. I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and keep stamping. Worst case that's going to happen is I'll have to use the other side. So there's no harm in finishing it, because it might turn out, you know, exactly what I want. Now, where I think I made the mistake was I saw that little area in the middle, and I wanted it not to be so blank, and I stamped there, and it looked horrible. I don't like, when you're stamping a pattern, you never want it to be exactly in a row. So I knew I kind of was going to just not use this side of the card. I probably would have used it had I had not stamped those two last stamps, but you know, you try it, you either like it or you don't like it, and it just wasn't working for me. So just trying to figure out, can I cover it up a little bit? Because I do like the flowers. I just did not like how I stamped up the pattern that I stamped it in. middle one in particular. So I figured, you know what? There's the back side. Now the back side's a little bit lighter, which I actually liked more. So I'm kind of glad it was a great mistake because it just blended in a little bit more. So I figure on this one, I'm just going to be safe. I put that back after I cleaned it. But I like that stamp set a lot. It's one from the Documenter kit from Studio Calico. It was, it's from a few months ago. So I go and I grab the Let's Go Outside from that same stamp set, and I'm going to put it on that bottom card that I like so much. That looked like the sand in the water. So I do my tester stamp. Good to go. I'm going to stamp kind of in the center where I want it first. So I go kind of in the top center, and then I work around that. So then I stamp off the page from there. So I either go up or I go down, but at least one is kind of front and centered to where I wanted it to be, and then I can go from there. Now, like I said, stamping kind of off the page makes it more of a pattern, not so, perfect. So if you could, you'll be able to look closely at the end. The bottom, very bottom, Let's Go Outside, and the very top, Let's Go Outside, is stamped off the page. Everything else is kind of on there. So I love the way it looks, just a line of it, and I clean my stamp. I even clean the block, because sometimes I get ink on the block as well. Sometimes I push a little hard, it just gets on the block, and I hate that, but it happens. So I go ahead and I put the stamp away, so I have it where I need it when I need it again, all cleaned and ready to go. And then I'm going to work on what is to stamp on these little labels for that picture. So I find a stamp that's going to work. It says totally exhilarated, and I think that was perfect because after a morning at the beach drinking my coffee, I felt totally exhilarated. It was perfect. It fit. Go ahead and I grab my go-to ink, Storm, and I stamp that on that little label from the kit, and it's perfect. I love it. Cleaning my stamp, returning it to where it goes. I place that on the picture, but I wanted it to have a little bit more of a pop. So Juli in the kit has these little die cut pieces that are just kind of like swipes of paint almost, and it's just perfect. So I put that behind the totally exhilarated, and it worked out. So now on the best summer ever card, I wanted to do something, but I knew I didn't trust the Versamark watercolor ink on this paper, so I had to go with the color. So I changed it up, and I have another color that I like to use. It's almost like a khaki. It's like a goldenrod. It's like a tan. I'll link the color down below, but it's Stephanie Bernard color box, and I really like it. I think it's called goldenrod, honestly. I got these little, they're almost like little stars. It looks like just little stars, and I just go ahead and I stamp around the title. They're like little diamonds, actually. And I just rotate it, and I stamp at the where it says best, and then at the end of the phrase as well, just to give it a little pop. And I love it because it actually blends in perfect with the paper. The colors are perfect, so it worked out really good. So now I know that color is going to coordinate with everything else in this kit, and that was a good choice. So I like that. Cleaning my stamp real good. Clearly I got it all over the stamp block again. Returning it to where it goes. And we are moving on because that card is done. Now now we're going to work on that top 3x4 card where I really wanted to use that X because it just was like X marks the spot. We grabbed coffee that morning, and right with the little coffee place right by her house in San Francisco, and then just went to the beach because they live like a few blocks from the beach too, so it was perfect. So X marks the spot. I use the X. I go back though and I adhere the label down because I know I'm going to forget to do that. So I put some adhesive on there, get my tweezers, and I put that little paint splat down first, and then I'm going to put the label like right over it. Perfect. When I got a little adhesive on my mat, but my mat's one of those silicone mats that you just wipe anything off of it, so it works out good. So now I'm just deciding on a few things. The coffee cup picture catches my eye, and so I know I want to put a label on top of there, either so I could stamp on it or journal in it or do something, but I knew that worked out perfect. So I put that label sticker that's also from the kit right on top. And then I noticed that there was a chipboard saying that says, "This makes me so darn happy." And it's like, could not be, more truer of a statement. My coffee makes me so darn happy every morning. So that worked out really good. It fit perfect. So I'm calling that picture done. Now I go ahead and I grab again from the Studio Calico chipboard stickers another chipboard sticker that says Rise and Shine. And I actually thought that was perfect as well because we did go, early in the morning. That's why it was really overcast too. It was pretty early in the morning. But it worked out really good. So Rise and Shine, I put it on X marks the spot. And then I realized it needs more. It needs a little something more. So I'm trying to figure out what else I could put there because the Rise and Shine was so stark. I needed to balance it with something else. So I go and I figure out, she has a phrase card that you can cut out phrases from. And I take a glance with that. And I see something that catches my eye. So I'm going to go ahead and cut one of those phrases out. It's one of the genius things about her phrase cards is it's just a bunch of phrases. You can cut something out when you need it. So I go ahead and I cut it out, trim it down, and I see where I could use this. Now I thought it was a perfect little saying for that area where it says these are the days. But looking at it, I'm like, I'm going to have to put something behind it because it kind of is just floating there. And then I looked to see if there's any phrases in the Tim Holtz one because I loved the phrase that's in the kit, but the print, the font was a little bold and I didn't want to take away from the title that says these are the days. So with the Tim Holtz, it's just like typewriter font and it's smaller, so it just kind of, is the co-star, not the star. So I figured I would use a sticker phrase from that because it wouldn't overpower the card. Your eye would be still drawn to these are the days stamp and not the sticker. So I'm just kind of looking through that. And if you guys have seen the sticker pack from Tim Holtz, it's really good. It's a bunch of sayings and it's like the typewriter font and it's either in the white background with the black font or it's the black font with the white background, and it's just universal. You're just going to use it on everything. So I go ahead and I find a little sticker that says today is a good day. So I figured, you know what, that's a perfect little co-star for these are the days stamp. So I put that on the label that's from the kit, and I'm just kind of scanning to see if there's another one for another area. And there's so many. Like once you're reading it, you're like, there's so many things that you could put. And I got that sticker book, the Tim Holtz sticker book that I'm looking through at Frank Garcia Studio, but I'm sure they have them other places, but I was able to pick that up and bring it home. Now I find another sticker that says, today is full of possibilities, and I'm like, oh, it's perfect. Rise and shine, today is full of possibilities, but it's a little too long. So I cut it, and I break it into two, and so that card says, rise and shine, today is full of possibilities, and I put that sticker there, and it's perfect. Now I grab my date stamp because I know in that little rectangle on the blue card, I'm just going to stamp the date. So I put the date on there. I grab my my ink and Storm. And I always have a little piece of paper by me because I always do a trial run. And it's perfect. Stamp it on there. Give that stamp a good clean. And this card is coming out. I could have left it like that, but I really wanted to add just a little something else in there, since I wasn't stamping the flowers on there. So I'm, considering another phrase. Do I put one of those little paint splats? Just trying to see what works. Like I said, this process video is in the moment, so you guys are actually seeing how my brain works, how I try things out. Now, I love the little paint splats, but the other one was too bright, so I went with this one that you see that has like a khaki, a blue, a gray, green, and it worked out perfect. But then here I noticed I pulled a San Francisco stamp because I did have that just on the side. I wasn't planning on even using it, but I wanted to have it handy, and I figured it would be perfect right there on the bottom. So I go ahead and I put that phrase on there. Now that San Francisco stamp is from, oh gosh, they're no longer in business right now. But I'll still let you know who it's from, but they're no longer in business, but maybe you could find one on, a resale site. So I go ahead and I ink her up in Storm, and I stamp it on, I stamp it right on the card. Oh, from Sweet Stamp Shop. Gosh, I couldn't remember it. They're no longer in business, but that's from Sweet Stamp Shop. It's a great little set. It just has a few little sayings on there from San Francisco, but it's super cute. Cleaning that off because I know I'm going to use that a lot more now. Making sure it's all good and clean. And then putting it back where it goes. And I love the way that card looks now. So I'm so happy. I'm calling this pretty much done because if I look at it any longer, then I'll just start adding, or not adding, or doing something I don't want to do. Now I noticed it was just a little bit tight, so I trimmed it down just a little so it would go in just a little bit more easy. So, but I'm notorious for getting like the ephemera, the die cuts caught when I'm slipping it in there. So I try to be careful now because I've chopped some things off because I've just shoved it in there and then things have come off. So kind of gingerly putting everything in where it needs to go. And it really helps when I just pull things that I think I might use and have them around me versus trying to literally figure out every single thing I need. I just want some things to inspire me so I have it close to me in case I need to reach for it and use it at any point. So that's exactly what I did on this layout. I'm putting the title page in, and then I'm literally calling this done. And I like it. Putting it in my album, Giving you guys one last glance. Again, this is from Juli Makes Things, her summer pocket kit. And I'm just happy with the way it turns out. So enjoy. If you have any questions, just let me know.